Hello, and thank you so much for joining me once again. I am Amanda with Feelings to Healings. I have decided to call my podcast Authentic Tone. You might see in um, some of the description for my last couple videos, and just going to kind of set the tone for that and have some authentic conversations. And I'm so grateful for you tuning in and listening and connecting with myself and my co-host for today. Someone who's very dear to me, someone who has been through a lot of the same trainings yet again for myself, doing the remote viewing, learning to work on traumas, triggers, looking at ourselves. And she was working prior in the hypnosis and the QHHT field. So she had some of that background before she started doing this work and kind of has melded those two things together. And anybody who is in the Find the Light community with Becky, they recognize this name right off the bat. She's been one of the other longtime followers and someone who has been close with Becky from the very beginning of her work as well. So I'm going to bring her in. This is the wonderful Jeanie. Hi, Jeanie.
Hi, Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience, because what is my norm and still getting used to all of the technology stuff and getting my recorder to work correctly, my volume, and all of that fun stuff. So you've been patient. I swear I'll get there one of these days.
That's okay. Gave me time to chill out.
Yeah. All right. So I just introduced you as, of course, I always mention Becky and Find the Light. I can't do what I do without her. Maybe sometime down the road, a little less likely, but anybody who has been a part of Becky's community recognizes your name and sometimes maybe your face, because you pop on every once in a while. But just wanted to connect with you and let you get your voice out there, because you have had all the training with Becky, the level 1, level 2, level 3. You also do the QHHT. So you're combining the two together for relaxation and being able to guide people through their relaxation and get some of those areas that might not have been able to get to on their own. So I'll let you just kind of share with us what you do and how you work.
And it's actually not QHHT, which
Oh, it's not. Okay.
No, it's like the progression, the upgrade from QHHT.
Okay.
Because that was Dolores Cannon's work, and then Candace Goldman. She worked with her closely, side by side, for many years. And then after Dolores passed, she went on to do her own, and changed it just a little bit, because Dolores did not do online sessions. And
Okay.
her family took over the business and said that, they're not changing anything. So you cannot, if you are a QHHT practitioner, you cannot do it online, only in person.
Okay.
So Candace thought that, going with the times, and she keeps in touch with Candace quite a bit, on the other side, and, had her blessing to go on, because energy is energy. It doesn't really matter, the proximity, and, gave the blessing for the online session. Is no different, and actually can often be better, because you're at home, you're in your environment, relaxing in your bed or sofa, and you haven't had to travel, to get somewhere and have to deal with traffic and getting there on time and all that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
she calls it beyond quantum healing. So it's it's kind of beyond the quantum healing, as you can do online sessions. It's basically the same, except doing it through the online. You can
Yeah.
do either way, but um, we're so vastly spread out that online seems to be um, the majority of what people do.
Yeah. I know I remember like from my Love and Late days when I do a lot of like psychic readings and stuff like that, I always felt like if I was paying a decent amount of money, like I felt like I wanted to be there in person. But I mean, now doing this work, I couldn't imagine doing it in person. It works so much more easily because the stimulation from things happening around you, where when I'm focused and in my state, it's quiet, it's dark, and yeah, that stimulation from what's going on around you can interfere and keep you from being in that deep state. So, and the other thing is too, I feel like a lot of people who are looking for this type of work where they already feel like something's wrong with them, or they're hurting, or they might feel judged or be a little fearful of putting themselves out there. So to be able to connect online, especially nowadays, is much different now too. Like everything is, you can do anything over the internet. So it's just nice to be able to access people who might not have felt comfortable doing it that way.
Yeah. And I think the younger people get, the more this is the preference. I mean, even doctors' appointments are a lot of times on this. I know my son recently, he was like, you know, emailing the company, and I was like, just call them. The email can sit there, just call. Why can't they answer their email? And I'm like, because it's not a phone ringing, and poking somebody. It's just as easy to let it sit there. And
Exactly.
so, but that's what I mean. It would like kill him if he's gonna have to call and talk to somebody, which is I find a lot of younger people like that.
Yeah,
It's like they don't want that um, contact, like face to face. That it would just be too much for them.
yeah,
They wouldn't be able to relax at all. And that's the biggest part of this is relaxing enough. Um,
yeah.
so,
Feeling safe, and
mhm,
yeah, where better to feel safe than at home.
right.
Yeah.
So that's basically what it is. Only it can be done online, not just in person.
So when you do your sessions, first of all, how do you typically find like your clients, or how do they find you? And then is there anything that you feel like you kind of specialize in, or just you kind of like with doing the remote viewing where it just depends on that person and you can go literally anywhere depending on where they need looked at?
So yeah, it just goes and unlike remote viewing where I see and feel and interpret, I'm just helping the client relax enough so that they they go through scenes, and I ask that they have an intention statement for the session, um, like what they want to focus on. um, Usually it goes that way. A lot of times uh, it goes where they need to go. um,
Yeah.
and so it real I'm blown away each session, because as they describe what they're seeing and sensing and feeling, and um, I'm there just to keep their mental mind from coming in, so they can just relax, go through the scene. I'm the one telling them, look around the room you're in, is anyone there, you know talk to them. Do you have a sense of who is this, your home, is this your family? um, I'm the one prompting the questions and then they answer. So they don't have to think of a question or, um, and then when we're done with that scene, we go back, I'll take them back a little further, um, and something else, another scene will, the more they talk, the more it'll progress. And it may be, you know, past life, parallel life, this life, um, and whether it's just really been alive or they're just showing them an example of what they need to see. I, we don't know for sure, but after, 3 or 4 or 5, I can even see like a pattern, and it's pinpointing on what most times what they want to know, what they're curious about. They um, and they will start, oh, like these aha moments, as they'll they'll get it. That's why this. That's why this, and it's just like an automatic knowing for them. Um, so as they're describing, I'm visualizing myself, and I can kind of help them go through and see. Um, and a lot of times by the end, it's kind of wrapped up all in a nice, tidy thing, this theme that was all throughout. And this understanding comes. Um, so it's really cool to see um, and witness. A lot of times, and sometimes, there will just be, um, this deep peace, and then there's a space for healing, and we just sit there and enjoy it and just let it happen. And so, I mean, that can take a while, and they'll just sometimes there's movement in the body or shaking or um, and they'll have a sense that of what's taking place, and that something is healing, and they'll um, figure it out, or I don't know, just comes to them what's being healed. So I have no idea. It just all comes through them to them, um, from their higher self.
Yeah.
Because yeah, a lot of I don't do the regular BQH. I've kind of tweaked it to my own, which you can, as opposed to the QHHT. You have to stay on a script. The Beyond Quantum Healing is also, you can adapt it, and I have, because it says, about your bringing in your angels and your guardian
All
things,
the
and yeah, I don't I don't do that. Um, I nixed all that. It's just you, your higher self,
yeah.
um, your soul, and source, your source energy, which is who you are, and me,
Yeah.
and that's it. And
And did you kind of shift that when after you did like the classes with Becky, or was that kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So how else, I'm just curious kind of how like the two melded together, and like anything else. So did it get easier once you've taken her? Because what I love about Becky's trainings is, teaching from the heart, where the heart can fly anywhere. And there's so many modalities out there. Even like when you hear about remote viewing courses that you can take, they're all from the mental mind, from the ones that I've read about. And where with the heart, you don't have to have that structure. You don't have to waste your time like, you have to do this and then you have to do that. You just and you don't need all that mental mind time. And then you're observing from the mental mind too, which I I don't even know what that would look like as far as getting authentic information. But yeah, I'm just curious how you kind of like how you
Yeah,
shifted when you brought the two together.
yeah. And this only came about um, 10 years ago when my daughter was 18 and was going through some stuff. And the psychotherapist she was seeing, um, which thank goodness for her, um, the first session, she shared with us about Dolores Cannon and um, blew blew my mind because I'm like, what? That's crazy. It sounds. Um, she had given us the video of, or told us to look up the 3 waves of volunteers and this talk she did about. And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense, but this is crazy. And so we scheduled a session for my daughter, and she said it didn't work. So I was, looking into all this stuff, and Dolores had passed. And so Candace was, um, she was just starting her Beyond Quantum Healing, and she had I can't remember what you call it when you're just starting out, a beta kind of trial thing. And so it was it was very reasonable to take. And so it's like, I can do that. And then I can help my daughter. And so I did that. It was very fascinating. And then, well, I told my daughter I was ready because when I was done with the course, and she was like, "You're my mom. I can't do that with
Yeah.
you." And so I was just like, "Well, I I love this, so I will help other people." And yeah, it's like you have to be ready. You can't just say, "Let me do this." Let me do
Yeah.
this for you. You have to be ready and want it. Um, and then it's very profound. Yeah, it just blows my mind every time I witness what can come of it. Um, and then that's later, shortly after is when I found Becky, because it was a blog that she had mentioned Dolores Cannon. So when I was looking at all the stuff I could get about Dolores Cannon, she came up, and it was a blog about she had taken the course and da da da. And that's all she had at that time, just a blog. And so I read all her blogs and it's crazy stuff. I wouldn't mention it to anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as you know, time went on, and she did vlogs, on the videos on YouTube, and then started the Patreon. And that was something I could give back. I was like, I'm joining because she's made me feel sane. And
Yeah.
so whatever I can give back, what little I can, I will. And so, and then when she did the courses, I jumped at. I think we were the first ones.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I it just things fell into place. I got a raise that was that amount, and just it always happened that I could manage it. And yeah, they were amazing and taught me so much. And that's when I just kept tweaking and tweaking. And then when I was at the level 3, um, yeah, that's when Becky, I can journey a little bit if I'm a little bit. And so when you exchange, sessions, I couldn't, you know, do much, but I said I can do. Here's what I can do, and we would do like a little, um, quantum healing session, and and as you know from taking the class, Becky will review, and see how you did. And so she saw that, and she was like, this is what you do. You don't need to do the other thing. This is your thing. And she saw that I made like a safe space, like a space, energetic space. And she's like, I even had like a net underneath to catch
Oh,
an energetic net, I guess. Um,
yeah.
but just like a safe space, where people would feel that, and so they could relax enough and get what they needed.
Yeah.
So then I was
And
like,
that's what's so cool. What can be tricky because like I feel like um kind of following in her footsteps and what she does, and but then also kind of trying to make it your own. And there's so many people in the community that have done really cool stuff with what they've learned, and it's like certain people are really great in certain areas and other people are really great in other areas, and it's just cool how it all comes together. And I was talking about um, some of the other people that are still currently in my class, and how some of their journeys I feel like are so magical and creative, and mine are just kind of straight to the point, which is there's benefit in both. I feel like there's benefit in both, but that's what I've been kind of working on, is spending a little more time when I'm in the journey to hone in on the little things, because sometimes I feel like with as thorough as some people are, I'm like, I wonder if I'm missing anything. But I still think I have that mental, that masculine, like that rigidness of let's get to the issue and let's fix it, not fix it, because I've been doing much better on the fixing, because I've realized that we're not here to fix. I've known this, but it's like that milestone of really solidifying we're not fixing anything, we're just understanding. And that's been like the theme for like the last month, and so that's been really helpful. But I do like how we can all do the same journey and get different aspects of it too, which can be so cool. So it really is about your individualism and seeing your truth for yourself and not just relying on somebody else's truth, because I know it can kind of get stuck in, especially like when Becky does the Q&As and stuff, like, oh, this is how Becky saw it, so um, that's how it is. And it's like, but if following Becky for all these years too, she sees things differently like than when she started. And for me, I just feel like that's inspirational, because I'm also seeing how my growth has really taken off too, because it comes in layers, and it just comes
yeah,
with more practice and more coming into yourself. So yeah, but I digress. I'm just going off on a little rant now, but it's just really cool to see um, everybody's progress and what they've done with it. I don't know if, well, I won't get into that, but yeah. Are there
yeah,
any other modalities that you kind of bring into what you do? Or is it's pretty much just those two, and you're in that relaxation? Because
yeah.
I know it was brought up in the one Telegram group about Reiki. So, and that was originally was
Oh,
like, oh, that's a great conversation to have with Jeanie, because I also did Reiki. I did the Reiki training, and I went up to Reiki Master. And when I had my first session with Becky back in 2019, um, she saw those symbols, and I had heard her talk about them in some of her videos. And I even was like, I wonder if she's going to see them whenever she does my session. And of course, and she did. And she's like, would you like me to take them out? Which was so, I mean, just beautiful that she wasn't just like, let's get these out of here.
yeah,
She was like, do you want me to take them out? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Because yeah, it's that, the infiltration of the love and light community is so incredible. I can't, belief. But at the same time, it was such an important stepping stone to get to where
Yeah.
I am now, because it couldn't have just jumped from where I was in my teens and early 20s to where I am now. Like there had to have been some progression in
Yeah.
between that. So
It's
it did hold its purpose. It really did. But yeah.
yeah. It's just like a big snowball from little things and just all through the years. Like even, again, way back, just all kinds of things, just little, 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 because there is so many layers. And if you knew like all that stuff at once, you yeah, you might go crazy.
Yeah. Because I know, like, I've always been kind of awake um, most of my life. There's still some things that I thought were different than what they were. But even as a young kid, like religion, politics, like I'd see these politicians on TV and I knew like it felt so wrong. I would go to church on occasion. I wasn't raised like super religious, but we have periods of times where we go to church and then we wouldn't go to church for a long time, and then we'll go to church again and then we wouldn't. But when we would go, I felt so awkward there, and just nobody'd answer your questions.
Yeah.
You were just told to be quiet. Kids are supposed to be seen and not heard, and just you have to just believe whatever you read, and you can't actually think for yourself. And um, yeah, so a lot of those things.
Yeah,
Um,
because I was
yeah,
raised in the church, but
were
I
you?
hate, yeah, ever since I was little, I hated it.
Yeah,
Just, and the questions, because things didn't make sense in Sunday school and, in the little kid classes. And I'd ask questions and, oh, it doesn't go into that, you know, I remember like Noah's Ark when all the things, I was like, where's the dinosaurs? They were there.
yeah,
And you're like, yeah, yeah, moving on. And um, yeah. And then once I got to a teenager, oh my gosh, I was, but if I didn't go, um, I'd stay in my room all day. My mom
oh
wasn't,
wow,
she was the nicest person ever, but you have to go to church or you stay in your room. And I was an outdoor girl. So staying in my room was like a prison. So if I would just go to church, just sit there in my grumbleness,
yeah.
and and then I would get an ice cream cone after. So that was. But meanwhile, my dad went to the horse races every
Oh,
Sunday, so I was like, I want to go there. I don't.
yeah. Come on, Dad, take me with you.
Yeah, Mom would not allow that.
Yeah.
I got to go a couple times if they went on a Saturday. But so as soon as I was 18, I was out of there. And you can't make me anymore. And got married and left. And was just so anti-religion. It was,
Well, and I think that's what pushed me, and I think most people into that love and light community was trying to find your people, and church wasn't it. So where else are you going to find your people? Especially, I'm both of us being from small town Pennsylvania, my town
yeah,
much much smaller than yours. Like if you weren't in a church, then you were like kind of shunned. And I find that a lot actually where I'm at now as well. Down here in Florida, it's
yeah,
extremely religious, which is it's
yeah.
something else. It's like a
It's
whole.
still, it's still like that here in Pennsylvania. And I think most places,
Yeah,
it's just strange because when my kids were growing up, you know, in school, where do you go to church? Where do you,
yeah,
and they'd come home like, what, didn't know what to say. I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, you don't go to church because Just say you don't. And, but yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah. I did find when I lived out in Arizona for many years in like the Phoenix Scottsdale area, it wasn't as normalized to say things like, oh, God bless, and, prayer and Jesus and all these things that you hear just from everyday conversation and passing. But I think it was because there were so many more religions. So it wasn't just like Christianity and offsprings of Christianity. It was like Mormons, Jehovah's Witness, like Jewish, like everything. Kind of like, and I lived in Orlando for a while, and that was the same. It's just, I mean, Orlando was like the biggest melting pot where I've ever lived, where it was just so many different race, religion, cultures kind of packed into one place. Some people live there, some people, a lot of visitors as well. So it's just been different from place to place. Yeah. But I think that's what, you want to find your people, you want to find your community. And I think most people transition into that love and light. And there's a lot of great things that go along with it, learning meditation and lots of fun circles, and people talk a little bit more. And I do feel like it was helpful in my growth. But there's something that happens when you come across Becky that I have not experienced with any other, whatever you want to call her, someone someone you find on like social media or in video recordings and talking about the things that she talks about. And what I remember most that stood out to me was just the things that she was talking about were like so far-fetched for most people, but I believe these things. I believe like in the control systems of the world and how religion works against us and all these things that conspiracy theorists might talk about. But when she would say them, it felt different. Like it felt different in my body because, as we know, like with infiltration, there's a lot of people out there that are claiming these things are true, but their agenda is to confuse us and manipulate us and mix a little bit of lies with the truth so that it doesn't feel right in our bodies.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that's really, I feel like it's not something I've been intentionally working on, but has shifted as I've been doing this work with kind of effortlessly. And that's like our bodies are lie detectors, and not just from other people, but also from myself. So there's times like I'll talk with my husband or someone in our community of friends and colleagues and stuff. And sometimes I'll say things intentionally knowing that I don't 100% believe it, but I want to say it in the flow of the conversation because I want to see how it feels in my body. And when I say it and I'm like, okay, yeah, that feels true to me. And then sometimes I'll say something and it's like, ooh, as soon as it came out of my mouth, I'm like, there's a little bit of a twinge. I don't know if that's exactly how I see it. And I'll kind of play around with my verbiage to see what I truly believe. So, yeah, that's been a really cool, like, thing that's just kind of happened through becoming more authentic, being more listening to myself and how I'm really feeling about something and not limiting my feelings to just one feeling. Like, oh, this feels good or this feels bad. It's more of just staying in that moment and allowing a fluctuation or a wave of emotions to go through, because so many things are not limited to one emotion or one feeling. And I think we get stuck in certain feelings when we just stop that flow, instead of exploring why, not necessarily why in a way of like dissecting it, but not dissecting it, if that makes sense. So like not overthinking it, but just letting the emotion flow into the next emotion, and not worrying about labeling it at the same time. So it gets tricky, but these are I'm just rambling again. But yeah.
But yeah, that's what has been nice about Becky. I mean, as soon as I was even just reading, I mean, I think our hearts can know. Let's just have this knowing.
Exactly.
And then, as she went through her progression, and she's talking and then taking questions um, constantly, what, twice a month for the past several years, answering questions. It's been so validating that, yes, we went through the um, stepping stone process to where we are now, but it's been so validating when she's been like, ask a question about the Reiki, uh, or gemstones and their power,
Mm-hmm.
things like this. And it's been like, that's why I didn't. I mean, they're cool looking, they're pretty, you know, the
Yeah.
gemstones, but that's why, they're just sitting there because, just didn't really connect with them, didn't really connect with the chakra thing, didn't. uh, I started the Reiki process, got to that first attunement, and because they say all the right things, but then when she did that attunement, which you have to go through each level, um, it felt like the opposite of what she said she was doing. And I was like, nope, nope, out of here. Um, so everything that didn't feel right, like somebody has asked a question and it's Becky's like, no, that's not good. That's been infiltrated and flipped upside down. Just everything's been inverted. And so it's
Well,
been,
and I feel like I'm a really good example of what um, savior energy can feel like, because I was in so much like worship mode of any modality that would. It wasn't like I was trying to be better than anyone else. It was just like I was trying to find the magic in life. I think that, I was just trying to find the magic in life and find my place. And Reiki, I mean, it did work for me. There was a lot of times where I've had experiences where I would put my hands on somebody and there would be a difference in what I was trying to like move energy around. And I think when your intention's there, and that's what can lock you into believing these things that outside of you is what's doing it, when it's really just you. And that's where it gets a little tricky, because your belief in things can definitely play a role, but you're not healing anything when you're just, you know, unless you're looking at what the actual cause is. You're just creating a band-aid.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And why I took the Reiki class was kind of to legitimize what I was doing on my own, um, which my sister is in California. She's 20 years older than me and has, like, in our family is like this genetic emphysema. Um, she has it like my mom did, and a cold or flu will put her in the hospital. Um, and a lot of times I didn't know until she'd be home. Like, why didn't you tell me? Um, so this one time she told me, she called and said, I don't think I'm going to make it out this time. And so I'm in my backyard, as always, my bare feet on the ground, a big tree nearby. And, just that's how I always do my own, just relaxing. And so I was just imagining, you know, sending her light and, you know, going through her body, imagining her laying in the hospital bed and um, just, can't do anything. That's all I can think of to do. Um, and then she calls me and says she's home, and she's like, I know you did something. Oh, I did, but I didn't I didn't know. And just I was like, oh wow. At that time, I'm like, wow. And then hear about the Reiki, and I was like, oh, I can do that. We can all do everything, but
Yeah.
it just seemed like, well, that's people like, oh, Reiki, you would do Reiki, then you have your license, you have your, it's like legitimizes
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So that's why I started it and didn't didn't like it. So thank
Yeah.
goodness I didn't keep going. But there were, it's just stepping stones and layers and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. I did my first Reiki attunement was, I can't remember, it was just through one of the practitioners at a metaphysical bookstore. And then my level 2 and 3 was from one of my massage therapy instructors. And the story that stands out in my mind is, and this was before I took his level 2. We were just in a massage class, and he wanted me to lay hands on his psoas, which is like the hip muscle,
Mm-hmm.
like what moves your hip, and it gets tight on a lot of people. It's like in the abdomen, so it's like just kind of on the hip area. And I laid my hands, up over and under, and just held them there. And there was this loud pop after a couple minutes. So it was very significant. You could hear it. The whole room could hear it. And I was just like, whoa. So that just like blew my mind. And so I was hooked from there to really dive in and continue. So at that time I had no intentions of continuing until that happened. So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the little things that can happen like that change your mind, or because it's an investment. It wasn't like, especially I was in my early 20s and I was
Yeah.
making next to nothing, so it was like a few $100s per class.
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, but to know that we're all capable of that, when we're working from our heart energy. And yeah, it's just interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to think what, I don't think there was much after that. Um, I mean, besides just following along with Becky and knowing that, my heart kind of knew along the way, and it's just validation, and yeah, it's still just that relaxation, and yeah, because I can fall back into that anytime, um, and it yeah feels like home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it sure does.
yeah, and Becky said too, when she took the quantum healing training from Dolores, when um, and she didn't want anybody to do a session on her because she was afraid what would come out. She was afraid of herself because that had gone on that she didn't know about consciously. Um, but where was I going with that? Oh, when I was in the training for that, the classmates, we would do sessions. We could do sessions on each other. Um, so I exchanged sessions with this person. So I didn't want it done either because I couldn't relax. I didn't. At one time, um, I think long ago, I did yoga, and um, the meditation comes after the yoga session, and I was like, yeah, I can't, shopping lists, everything's going through,
Yeah.
and until a few years later, um, yeah, probably the last 10 years, um, yeah, I can just, there's nothing going on in here, and it's so nice. Um, but I did have exchange one session with a fellow student, and I'm kind of the same. I don't know what's coming. I don't know what's coming in this kind and hard to relax at that point. but this, um, never felt it before in my life, but it gave me a a starting point. Um, I was up in the attic, had my eyes closed. There was a small window, but this, like, I could see just this brightness, so bright. I was like, that can't be coming through the little attic window. And then this just wash of just the unconditional love that people say about, but that I just burst out bawling. You know, I couldn't keep it in. I didn't want to do that in front of this person I didn't really know. And and she was just like, "It's okay, just you know." And it was just like everything is okay. It doesn't matter. Nothing really matters. You just loved.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was a crazy experience. And then after that, there was it was like a medium. Um, we joined lots of groups before Becky, and
Yeah.
then they all went away.
Hmm.
But this one, and she did like a live Q&A, and you could ask anything, and I was like what was that I experienced in this session I just had, and and she was like, oh, that was source, and I believed it because that was I thought she was going to say, Jesus or something, but because that's what the lady that was doing the session, she's like, oh, that must be Jesus, and but no, it was yeah, it's just an indescribable feeling, but I go there all the time now,
Yeah.
and yeah, I, it just feels good. It just I don't burst into tears, but I can. I mean, it's just so wonderful.
Yeah. No, I think over the years I was in survival mode for so long that I had, when I found Becky and started doing her classes and her healing groups, and oh, if anybody's on there and looks back, back to when I was on there, I was crying 9 times out of 10. I was just a crying mess because I was finally allowing those walls to come down, and there was just so many tears that were held back for so many years that they had nowhere else to go but to get out. Um, so I'm finally to a place now where I still get the tears, but a lot of times it's like happy tears at this point.
Yeah,
Um, and when I get to something that needs looked at or coming to the surface, which has been a while, which knock on wood, doesn't mean there's another one coming anytime soon. No, I mean, I've dedicated the last like 6 years of my life. I went in hard. Like I had no other goals in my life but to heal and to do whatever I needed to do to look at myself. And I have been relentless about it. I mean, I was seeing Becky at least 4 times a month between healing sessions and classes for 6 years. And I think it was actually just about 2 years ago now that I gave up healing sessions where I was just in level 3. But that was still seeing her, 2 to 3 times a month. Um, yeah, it was my literal life goal to just want to feel good and be more authentic and be whatever that looks like, good, bad, or ugly. And yeah, it took a lot of ugly crying to get there. Um, I had one of my clients had sent me a private message about how I she sees me as this person who is full of integrity, and the light that she sees um, when we have our sessions. And I told her, I have not always been this person. That I have, I have real ugly stuff in my past. I've been an ugly person. I've been miserable. I had really, really rough things in my childhood, in my teens, in my 20s, of just being a wall of not letting anyone in or letting myself out after, everything. Spending my entire childhood pushing my emotions down. And it took a lot to get to this. So, and I told her that. So when you see my authentically wanting to help other people because someone helped me, that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the result of the shedding of the ugliness to get to this place that, still living life. Things still happen. My life's not perfect by any means. But I'm at a healed place in my heart where it's like I'm moving with the punches. I'm expressing myself. I'm not um, letting my expression to be pushed down, whatever that looks like in that day and time, and always working on myself. So it's not like these things come easy, but it gets easier the more you're used to doing it. And then you start to see it more in that person. And that's what we saw with Becky. Like, that's what I saw when I saw her talking for the first time in a video. I immediately booked a session with her. There was no doubt in my mind. I had done lots of like psychic readings, and I've paid a lot of money for different types of sessions so that somebody can tell me that my future is going to look better, that sort of thing. Like, tell me when the guy's going to come, tell me when the job's going to come, tell me when my happiness is going to come. And 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 Becky comes along and she's like, this is what you're going to do to work on yourself, and those things are going to fall into place if they fall into place, if they're meant to be. So it's like totally backwards to how I thought it was supposed to be, how we're told it's supposed to be. But you get there, you get to a place where, happiness is the result. It's the effect. It's not the cause. The cause is, working on yourself and processing your emotions. That's why I chose Feelings to Healings for, my website and what I'm creating, is because I actually did hypnosis training as well. I did it in my early 20s, and it wasn't like QHHT, or it wasn't like any program that you probably heard of. It was just two individuals that were offering sessions to trainings. And my full intention of doing this training was to eliminate my emotions. Like, that was my goal. Was like, one of the biggest things that happened to me in my life that was life altering was my best friend passing away when I was 18. I can't even begin to tell you how it rocked my entire existence. I wanted to not feel that anymore. I wanted the entire memory of her at a certain point to like just be gone, because I couldn't handle it. It was so overwhelming. She was the only consistent thing in my life at that time. Like, she was my childhood best friend since elementary school. So, um, so it came to my mind, like, I'm going to find hypnosis training so that I can get this out of my brain, so I don't have to deal with it anymore. And so that's what I did. And I did spent like a couple $1,000s, which, again, I was in my early 20s. I didn't have a couple $1,000s. I committed to a payment plan. It was so far out of my comfort zone, not something I would have ever thought to do, except for having the goal of being able, in my mind, to be happy in my life. Was I had to get rid of these memories. Like, I just wanted them gone. And that's obviously not what happened. But I did get a better understanding about how the brain works, and how how we can shift our thinking. And it's kind of what pushed me into the love and light community as well. Not directly, but it was like, okay, I'll just tell myself everything's okay. And then it will be, and I'll feel good. And um, then the movie or the book, The Secret, came out, was right around that same time. And oh, and then I was a goner. I was all love and light, and everything's wonderful and great. And yeah, it worked for a really long time, actually.
Yeah. But then you realize that, and you've learned that
Yep.
what you see outside is projecting from the inside, no
Yeah.
matter how you want it to be. That's whatever's in there is going to be outside of you.
Yeah. So
once you clear all that out, then you can project better stuff.
yeah. Yeah, because you're going to have, those triggers, those things that used to trigger you, they're not going to trigger you anymore. They might even still be happening, but you're not going to have the same response. So it's easier, gets easier and easier to, you get to the point where you're starting to just use your time creating what you want to create instead of fighting what you don't want. Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes time though.
Yeah. It's just, I think, a matter of, because we're unconsciously creating all the time.
Yeah.
And then when you kind of realize that and flip it to consciously creating, by what you are feeling, once you've cleared all the stuff
Yeah.
that was lurking in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've done an amazing job to have come through all that and be where you are now, doing what you're doing.
Yeah. It's an honor. I tell my clients, I tell everybody when I feel so good after I have a session, provide a session for someone else. It's just so rewarding to help, because I've seen, like I said, I wouldn't be where I am without Becky and her assistance. And I say all the time, she'll tell you that, she doesn't take credit. She is like, you did it. You did this. Like, I just was the catalyst that kind of pulled you and gave you the information, but you had to do the work. And I agree, but she was definitely the beautiful guiding light that helped me find my light. So I'm just eternally grateful. I could talk about Becky all day long. I really could. I have.
Yeah, I know.
So.
And that's why we're still here.
Yeah.
After all
exactly.
these years.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't pay me to leave. All right. Well, so let me see. We been chatting for just a little bit here. How I was thinking, if you'd like, I could do a journey for you and then kind of close off and do a part two where, because your sessions go much longer. So I was thinking I'll just do a little journeying for you, and then we can do a part two where you can go through your process. It would still be a shorter than what you actually do, because yours usually goes for like a couple hours, right?
Yeah, at least, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, let me do a little something for you. Is there anything you'd like me to look at?
No, not in particular. You can just go wherever your heart wants to.
Okay. All right. You're nervous. I'm with little you, but you're like, I don't know what might come up.
I'm out of my comfort zone here.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna see what you want to show me, but I'm not gonna share it because you don't want you're not comfortable with that, and I'm not gonna do that. But I'll just take a minute and kind of see where you want to go, and then we can chat about it later. I'm gonna cry. You got comfortable enough. You brought my friend in, and we're roller skating. My friend that passed away that I just mentioned, because I don't think you knew about that
Oh,
prior. And we're all three roller skating around together. You're like, no, that's it. Yeah. Um, you said to go back. I'll do something after our session. I'll go back in and do a little something for you, but you don't want to show me anything, but you did show me that, so that was cool.
oh, yeah,
Yeah. That's okay. That's completely fine.
yeah. You
You
got a
never know
little,
what you're gonna find.
yeah. You got a little snippet of a BQH session.
Yeah. That was sweet.
Sometimes it's just something like that. Uh, a feel good memory just to know that they're not really gone. They're there
Yeah.
with you. Yeah, and I had no idea until you mentioned that.
Yeah. Oh, that was kind of cool. That was sweet of you, Jeanie. But yeah, that's okay. Yeah, you're not you just want yeah, you're not comfortable. And so I'm not gonna go any further. That's okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, I will journey for you off camera, and then it doesn't have to be stories there. So
Okay.
um yeah, let's go ahead. We'll conclude for now, and then we'll jump in